Hey guys, welcome to a very brief follow-up video for our Joseph lesson from a couple of weeks ago prior to Thanksgiving. I want to say thank you again for engaging with the material again. I like to repeat myself. You probably noticed that by now. This covered a lot of ground as we kind of caught the tail end of the patriarchs and then moved into the story of Joseph in Egypt and finished out the book of Genesis. And also thank you for the gap with me being on vacation last week. You'll notice that my dress and my surroundings are a little different here because here we find ourselves in the joy of quarantine because of COVID stuff, which is all why we're doing this stuff remotely in the first place. But that's beside the point. Let's move into it. Real briefly. So we talked a little bit about the patriarchs. We asked the question, who were the patriarchs? And y'all picked up on it. It's Abraham and then his son Isaac and then his son Jacob, and they were really the forerunners of what would become the Jewish nation or the nation of Israel or the Jewish culture or whatever we want to call it. They were the recipients of God's covenant, God's promise, and that promise to make you into a great nation, and it would extend on through those. From there, we kind of moved into Joseph and through his time in Egypt, and we listened to his story. You guys really picked up on that repeating nature of, we asked the question, does this sort of thing happen to him before? Has this sort of thing happened to him before? And yeah, God continues to bless him no matter where he is. Starts off as a slave in Potiphar's house, becomes the manager of his household. Then ends up in prison, improves and becomes basically like the chief prisoner, like in charge of the entire prison. And then from there, he ends up becoming second in command in all of Egypt and second only to Pharaoh. So God continues to bless him and turn the bad into something good. Now that led to our last question: can God make good stuff come out of bad situations? And you all sort of think that yeah, like, and you gave good examples of ways that God can and has done that. That we've had bad situations and all of a sudden something decent can come out of it. So thank you for those thoughtful responses. Really appreciate your effort and your connection with that. I kind of think the same thing. That yeah, God can make good stuff come out of bad situations, and maybe we're even seeing that in the grander scheme right now with all this stuff going on. The last question that we asked is, does God make bad stuff happen? Now that's a big question and kind of a deep one, and you gave some various responses that all sort of focused around the idea of I don't really know, and you know what? That's a good response to that question. I don't know if God makes bad stuff happen either, or if God allows bad stuff to happen, or if stuff happens and we just think it's bad and yet it's just kind of stuff that happens. That's a deep question that maybe doesn't even have a right answer, but I appreciate the way that you thought about it and the way you all wrote about it. I don't really have a whole lot else to talk about here. Just wanted to give that little tiny bit of brief feedback towards the responses that you gave. Be looking for our next lesson coming up towards the end of the week. We're going to be moving now into Exodus and kind of getting into that story with Moses and the Israelite people and not the Ten Commandments yet. That's farther down the road, but Moses and Egypt and the 10 plagues and kind of all that stuff. That's what we're looking for. Take care, everybody. We'll catch you later.